Hello and welcome from Barcelona to coverage of an armory event that took place on August 7. My name is Max, aka Amjad on Discord, and this is the third and final round, Chane versus Boltyn. I'm the Boltyn player that you can see here on the right, and if you followed the first event that we covered, you know that I managed to take that one down, and that's why I'm playing on that nice playmat right there. However, this time around I was not quite so fortunate, and we're looking at both players sitting at 1-1. We just chose to record this matchup because we hadn't seen Chane versus Boltyn before. So the Chane player is on the play, as the Chanes usually like to be. However, I don't mind all that much playing as Boltyn because I really want to put on a lot of pressure on Chane as early as I can, and being on the draw or going second usually is kind of like what allows you to do that, really pressuring the hand of your opponent. And we see that Chane chooses to play a 4-point attack after making a Soul Shackle. That one is just being blocked, and then he puts the other card in hand and arsenal. So if you have a turn like that, there's an argument to not even attack, just to make a Soul Shackle, just so in the case that your opponent has kind of like one or two cards in hand that they would actually like to get rid of, and kind of like a mulligan. And as it turns out, I believe that this was kind of the case here. That it was kind of like not ideal, because I managed to actually draw a Lumina Ascension with one of the two cards that I got to draw on at the beginning of my first turn. So that means that the first attack that I'm coming in here with is going to be very, very strong indeed. So this is just a Tech Flight. This is a Tech Flight Yellow, which is really actually the best kind of like pairing for that Lumina Ascension. And it's going to deal some damage because of the Boltyn being active due to me charging first. And now I get to play the Lumina Ascension. So this is like one of the strongest cards in Boltyn, and it allows you to attack twice with your weapon if you have charged on that turn, and it also buffs your weapon by +1. And in addition to that, it gives your weapon a quite nasty on-hit trigger, which results you in gaining life and also putting cards in your soul if the top card of your library is a light card, which is almost all of the cards in the Boltyn deck are light cards. So this is going to be a 4-point attack and then a 4-point attack afterwards. So very, very scary. So there we go. I banish one of the top card of my library and gain a life and come in for 4 yet again. So there's like a debate on whether you want to block this. He chooses to block just 3, and I believe there would be an argument to use the Ether Ironweave here to prevent the on-hit trigger, but he decides that this is not scary enough. A reasonable play to make. However, that actually allows me to end up with more cards in the soul than I started with. So that was like a really good turn for me. I'm very happy about this result. And I got to deal a lot of damage. I gained some life, put cards in my soul. That's just exactly what you want to do as Boltyn, like chip in. And now we will see what the Chane player will be able to do to come back at me. He activates his Stubby Hammerers, so that means that he likely has more than one attack planned on this turn. Right away, this is the Shadow of Ursa. He's going to banish a Bounding Demigod to give it go again. So this is a 3-point attack because of the Stubby Hammerers. And I'm looking at my hand and I don't really like it. So that's why I say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on blocking this turn because there's not much I'm going to be doing here. And so now we see Seeds of Agony played, a Soul Shackle made, and then another attack coming. That's the Bounding Demigod, so there's going to be one arcane damage being dealt, and now this is a 4-point attack because of the Stubby Hammerers, and I believe I will just block very hard here. The banish of the Soul Shackle, I believe, was also a Bounding Demigod, a blue one. So since the Shadow of Ursa had to go again, like naturally, if you will, I believe we will see another attack after this one. So not too bad from the Chane player, and definitely a very good use of the stubby hammers, essentially ending up giving +3 to his attacks. And actually, the Bounding Demigon is a 4-point attack because it gains +1 from the stubby hammers, 5-point attack, and +1 from because it was played from banish. So I'm just full blocking it just as well. And now we see the blue Bounding Demigon. So this is coming in for 3. One from the being played from banish, one from the hammers, and one from its base power. So, Chane got to hit back a bit, and I actually basically used my entire hand to block. And what we will see here is I will also just arsenal the card that I have and just pass it straight back. So I did lose a lot of tempo, but I did get to arsenal a very nice card, which is a Plunder Run, and the arsenal is where you want to put the card. We will see that shortly. But the tempo is definitely now very much in favor of Chane. However, I still have a very high life total, so unless we see like a huge attack here that really pressures my hand, I might have some very nasty things planned for the following turn. But also that will depend on the nature of the exact draw. There's a bit of a discussion here. I believe that is because I chose to attack with I edited that out, but like attacked with a with my weapon for 0, for 0-point attack, just to kind of like show that it is possible. But that was kind of more of a joke because there's nothing really that you can do with 0 resources. There's no single card that you can have in Boltyn that actually gives your weapon, that actually buffs your weapon without your opponent blocking it. And without having charged first. So we see Chane flipped over some cards because of the soul shackles. It's hard to say from the camera angle here. I think he might have just straight up missed. We see definitely a snatch here. And then we see another card. It's hard to make out what that one is. It might be a Blood Debt card, but I'm not entirely sure. And now he says, alright, I'm going to use my Ebonfold right here because I want to I don't like the makeup of my hand so much. So that one allows you to banish a card from hand, and he chooses to banish a Riftbind from hand, which is obviously a very great target for that card, just because playing the Riftbind from Arsenal actually makes it from the banish zone actually makes it stronger. Yeah, it gains that buff that pumps it up for every non-attack action that you played before. Only if you play it from the banish zone. And he managed to find a blue pitch, which is probably what he was looking for. He makes a soul shackle, and he comes in with a ghostly visit for 4. Not the scariest attack. And I'm just gonna say, alright, I take it. This might mean that I'm not so worried about this because there's no on-hit trigger and I have a high life total. This might also mean though that I just have like a great hand and I don't really care what happens here as long as I don't die. As long as lethal is not presented, I just want to preserve my entire hand and come back really, really strong. And that's kind of like the playstyle that Boltyn has. He really likes to take damage and really likes to set up those huge swing turns. It's kind of like a aggro combo deck, if you will. So now we see a Riftbind. This is coming in for 3. Again, this is kind of like the Chane player. His draw is not really coming together right here. This is obviously coming off of a full hand. This is really not the strongest or like the scariest turn. I think he might be considering using his Snapdragon Scalers here just to push a little bit more damage, and he is. So there's just a 3-point attack, and now the weapon is coming in for another 3, 4 if it's not blocked, and I will say, okay, I'll take 4. So he got to deal a lot of damage, so that's great, but then again, I have a full hand and a card in arsenal, so this might be very scary. We will see what's going to happen here. the one card that the other card that he flipped over seems to have been a card with Blood Debt as well. I think it might have been a Bounding Demagon. So and a blue one, so that's kind of like an unfortunate flip because he was not able to play any non-attack actions. He would not have been able to play that Bounty Demagon from banish either way. So this is a plunder run from Arsenal, as I said before. This is obviously great for me. Buffs my next attack by +3, and if I manage to enter with an attack action, I get to draw a card. And now a V of the Vanguard using the Heart and Cross trap to play it for free, charging 2 cards. This is obviously extremely scary. So this is coming in for 8, I believe. Yes, this is 8, representing 8 damage right here, and I have a card in hand, and we know the Raiden is coming in as well. So that's a very, very scary attack indeed. And if I get to hit with this, I even get to draw a card as well. So now this puts Chane in a very tough spot. How he wants to deal with this, and we will see what he decides to do. So one thing you could do here is to say, alright, I don't think I will be able to prevent the on-hit trigger from the plunder run, so I'm just gonna let this one hit, just because there is no, like, apart from the plunder run trigger, there's no other unhit effect, and so there's always the risk that if you block this hard right here, which he does, that the other card that I keep in hand might be even scarier. So he does full block it. He blocks 8 points of damage. Now the Raiden comes in, so this is a 5-point swing because of the V of the Vanguard. This obviously, I think you should just not block. It doesn't. The plunder run is not threatened here, and there's really kind of like no good reason to block this one. So he decides to not do that, and now he's down to 7, and this is really what I was talking about. We've got a Bolt of Courage here, so this is a 5-point attack, and if it enters, I actually get to draw 2 cards, and that would be absolutely devastating, especially since the V of the Vanguard is still active. So if I manage to draw into more attack actions, I would be just able to continue my combat chain. I have spare cards in Soul, so very, very scary right here. He only has 1 card in hand. I believe it is an attack action, so unless he has a defense reaction in Arsenal, this might be very big trouble right now. Again, keep in mind, the blocking with an attack action actually makes that attack stronger due to the Boltyn hero ability. So your attack actions kind of, if they usually block for 3, they actually kind of just block for 2 if you just have one of them to block with. So yeah, we will see what he decides here. He might say, you know what, I think I just have to hope that you just kind of whiff here. You know, your 2 cards you draw you can't play. But that is very unlikely, I think even actually impossible. Or I could draw 2 defense reactions actually, I guess. Well, I get to draw 2 cards, and now this is a snatch. This is just, it's getting worse and worse, obviously. Yeah, so I'm saying, look, I have even this and this and this. Yeah, okay, so this is just a lethal attack. If you start drawing extra cards on your View of the Vanguard turn, that is obviously very, very scary, and you're going to do a lot of damage. And since my first turn, so the second turn of the game, my first turn was so strong with the take flight and into the Lumina Ascension, I was just able to put my opponent down to 12 life already. And then if you have a big turn like this, then you know, there's not much you can really do to stop that. So thanks again for watching this, and we hope to bring you more coverage in the near future.